I'm so glad you're saying that, man, because like Omid and I have so many exciting opportunities in our life where we're like, yo, man, like if we didn't have this guest on the podcast, if we didn't have this conversation,
Right.
XYZ wouldn't have happened. What's like a moment in your life where because you've put yourself out there, like you've made content, directly or indirectly, something happened in your life that was essentially like it was a highlight, it was life changing. It was like, yo, man, like I'm so glad I'm doing this because this happened.
Uh, there's been a lot, to be honest. I'm not gonna. It's not bad saying that. There's been like a lot of cool things that have happened just from whether it's from like brown ballers or in the lab or just my personal, like where we put out stuff and like um
Hit him with even the email. How you met Dev.
oh yeah, oh shit, I mean, yeah, okay, so like back in the day, like when I used to probably just a little bit before you actually, but like we used to have Grizzlies basketball and Northern Alberta basketball. Like me and Sonny used to run a lot of different programs out here, but like we were like at the peak. Like we were the only ones doing stuff in basketball out here that I think like people like really messed with at that time.
Yeah.
Plus we were like two brown guys, so it was like it's never been done before in my opinion. And this is when I didn't know Dev, so I'll try to make this as short as I can. We had this basketball program. Everyone at this point in time is like watching YouTube, and you see this dude named Devin Williams who's a basketball trainer. He created this series called 10,000 Hours, where he takes these two Chinese kids, Kyle and Maddie, and he just trains them. And it's like something that was like mind blowing at the time because like that had never been done before. This guy like is a nasty player. Like at that time he was like shifty as hell.
Yeah.
Like you love watching him play. He's like train these two kids and like you've seen these kids throw up, run sand dunes. Like you're seeing these kids actually go and they're like 5'6", 5'8". Like these kids should not be playing basketball. And you see him like take them and evolve them to the fact where they're getting like college offers, D1, like you want to go play pro, like, and those kids embodied all of us at that time because we're small kids, we're Asians, like, you know, we're South Asians, like we're just like, oh, I see myself in him. Anyways, I send Dev this email. I'm like, hey, we'd love to bring you out to Edmonton, Alberta. We're gonna pay you. Here's our video, like our promo video that we made with Mo and Maz, which was like fire at the time. Like we made this crazy promo video about Edmonton basketball and us. And Dev is like, I tell Dev this all the time, like the reason me and him worked so well together is because like I can run everything around the company and he can be the face and do what he does best. So we both do what we do best. But he doesn't answer emails, sometimes texts, phone calls. He's like that guy. There's like literally 35,000 emails, like to like, he's like that type of person. So he said he watching an NBA game, his phone pops up and it says, come to Edmonton, Alberta. This is why subject lines are so important in emails. He told me like he didn't know what Edmonton, Alberta was. That's the only reason he happened to see the email and just opened it. And then because we had a really sick promo video, which is important why you brand yourself, and he went to video school and stuff. He's like, this is fire. Let me hit these guys up. So then Dev came out and like, I'm basically telling the story in the lab right now. I don't know if I should just keep going or not.
Yeah.
Basically, like Dev comes out to Edmonton. We run this like fire ass camp with kids. Were you at the first? Yeah, you were. Yeah.
Because I remember he posted a video of me shooting out of it.
Yes. Damn, that's crazy to think
That
about.
is crazy.
So like basically you bring this trainer who like is basically still famous at the time, and you bring it to a city like Edmonton where that's never been done before. It draws demand, right? Intrigue. Parents loved it, kids loved it, and he's like nasty. So he comes in, we run this camp. Through that weekend, we drank together, we watched anime together, we played video games together. We did all the stuff that you would do as boys. But I didn't know who this dude was. So we built this really cool relationship, and then basically what happened is, I'm gonna just tell you guys the whole story now because we're too far now to finish the story. Is he goes back to LA. He lives in the Bay at that time. I stay here, just keep doing my thing, keep figuring whatever. And I have this epiphany. I'm like, man, like I want to be a basketball trainer, but I want to like travel and get paid to do it. How do you do that when you're like when you know I didn't play pro. I'm like not that good, bro. Like I can play pickup and stuff. I'm not a pro basketball player, right? How do you do that? So I started like looking at stuff, figuring it out. Me and my boys at the time were going to Thailand. Me and four of my boys. I look up Thailand, I'm like, man, what if there's someone in Thailand? I Google Thailand basketball. There's a guy who played for the Lakers, Ike Nwanko, who was like 7'5". He started top flight basketball in Thailand. I'm like, okay. Find the Facebook, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, without telling Dev, I'm like, hey, like, nice to meet you guys. My name is Nav, blah, blah, blah. I'm a trainer in Canada. Me and Devin Williams, would love to come out to Thailand and run a camp for you guys. we're actually going to be there at this time and these weeks. This is like 3 weeks later. He hits me back the week before we're going, basically. And he's like, we love Devin. Like, we've watched all this stuff. We'd love to bring you guys out, pay your flights, pay your food, pay your hotels, and here's the cap. Like,
Sick.
right? I'm like blown away, bro. This is a cold call of all cold calls, right? Yeah. And Dev doesn't even know. So I immediately called Dev, and I was like, yo, like, do you want to go to Thailand? And I didn't even tell him. I was like, you want to go to Thailand with me? Like, he just met all my boys, so like, we're all going. He's like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, when is it? I'm like, it's next week. And he's like, oh shit, like, you know, I don't know, blah blah blah. And it's like, but everything's covered, bro. And he was like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I told him the story. I hit this guy up. He's going to pay everything. We're also going to get paid. So we go to Thailand and have like the most epic trip, bro. Epic trip. Like, we were there for 2 weeks with the boys. Like, we were doing all kind of, and we were like younger. We were doing all kind of stuff that time. Like, we were drinking like crazy. We would like be hungover at a basketball camp, like training these kids, just like, oh man, like all kind of stuff, right? We go, we meet these guys, run the camp, kill it. And then we spent an extra week and a half basically like just island hopping in Thailand. And it was the first time I experienced like, not what an entrepreneur was like, but just the fact of like, shit, man, like this could be something. And Dev saw it too, because we were there, like, and he had done some gigs. But I think that was like the first big one where it's like, yo, we're traveling, all expenses paid, right? And then from there, basically he goes back, I go back here. A couple months later, long story short, I decide to leave with Sunny and like we part ways. And then I was like, yo, like I told Dev, like I'm down to like sleep on a couch and do whatever we got to do. Let me come be your business partner and build this. Cause like I just told him, I don't think what's happening right now is like the right move. Cause like the thing you gotta think about too is like we had this brand called In the Lab, trademarked everywhere. In the Lab, 3 words that everyone uses all the time. All the big sports accounts, all the NBA, NFL players, they're like, I'm in the lab. LeBron, I'm in the lab. Everyone uses it. I'm just like, bro, like we have like potentially the greatest brand name of all time in sports. No one really knows what Nike means and Adidas and all that. If you really think about it, Under Armour, Puma, to Cat, like this is like a synonymous term with like putting work in on your craft. So I go do the couch thing for 2 years. I sleep on a couch, whatever. We start building things up. On the 3rd year, we get a house. So we're starting to like grow the brand. And then we spend 3 years in the house building everything from scratch. Shipping, clothing, meetings, content, everything would happen in the house. All the biggest creators would pull up to our house in LA. Like we started like creating like that culture of like, yo, this is not just a basketball creator. Because there's creators and there's brands, right? Mr. Beast is a creator and a brand. A lot of creators are just creators. So how do you bridge the gap of a creator and a brand that's like making a lot of money, making positive moves? You have your own shoes, you have all this stuff. Like was the evolution of like what we were doing, you know? Sorry, that was a really long-winded.
No. I think when Kenny was saying something life-changing, that's the first thing that kind of popped in mind, and I think it's the story.
That was good you said that, because that's like a great story.
That's a great plug-in, bro. Wow, seriously, I love every piece of that, bro. That was a movie, bro. Right? Thailand, Sawadee Ka, full moon party, right? Wake up in the morning, play ball.
Yeah, no, for real, man.
Dude, thank you for sharing that, man. Right? Because I know a lot of people like, and I could just see, man, like you going back to that, and like clearly, like you love what you do, man. And I think it's important. I think it's important to share your story again. Those like beginning grassroots, you know. I've had something I really wanted to ask you, man. And if you don't mind, it's a little personal related to business, because it's something that even I'm kind of dealing with right now and trying to figure out. 2 parts to it is, firstly, are you spending majority of your time when you're quote unquote in the lab and on the clock on what's making you the most amount of money?
No.
Okay, fair. I'm going to ask why and what's kind of your mindset behind however much time you're spending on the thing that's going to make you the most, that kind of like, hey, I'm going to work on this, but it's long-term gain, right? But I need to be patient with it, and kind of like that balance between all that. Because full transparency, man, right now I'm in that shift where I actually have to, and I've been saying no to some things that are gonna make me a quick buck. And I'll be transparent. It's like I would rather right now not gain another client in personal training, because that's an hour away from me building my dojo. And it's like all that behind the scenes stuff. Like one thing, man, that's on my agenda is build a damn poster an ad so I can put out and distribute, but I'm not making time for it because I'm too busy working kind of like on the business as opposed to around it. So what's your philosophy around that when you're choosing right now to actually majority of your time not spend on the thing that's going to make you the most right now?
I think this is the hardest. This is what I keep saying. This is one of the hardest things about like what we're doing. So like right now I'm building 2 digital brands, right? In the Lab and Brown Ballers. Both very different and unique in their nature and what they're trying to do. But within the Lab, for example, it's like what we're doing, bro. Like maybe I'm wrong and maybe you guys have a different opinion, which I'm curious to see. Is like there's no blueprint for building this type of brand. Like yeah, Phil Knight has a book and whatever, Adidas may have a book and all that stuff, but like they didn't build brands like at this time, at this day and age, like with TikTok and all these socials to utilize. Like no one knows how to do it. So the hardest thing for us has been adapting to the socials, the platforms, the algorithms, like how much content needs to be put out. But then also it's like we just like he was like we get a lot of opportunities, and it's just like, yeah, man. It's like sometimes you have to think about, okay, like you could get like this 6-figure thing here, or like this very low 5-figure one here, and it's like, okay, like short term versus long term, like what do you want to do? And I'll give you an example. Like right now we're doing this show called The Lab Games. This show right now is like the first time I'm fully producing, directing, leading a show that has a big budget. But on the flip side, it's like because I'm doing that the last 2.5 months, a lot of the business has been like in flux. And what I mean by that is like we haven't dropped apparel in 3 months, and apparel is like our biggest moneymaker. Other things basically get left behind because we're still a small team, and that's like the struggle. And then with this show, it's like, to answer your question, it's like trying to take that home run hit. It's like I feel so confident in what this show could be for basketball and the culture that I think we should go. I told my team, I think we need to all go in on this. Everyone like believes in me and the vision. Let's go knock it out. And then at the end of 7 weeks, when all 7 episodes are done, let's see if we can sell it. Because that's the whole goal. Is to like, can you see this show on Netflix? Like, you're a basketball guy, so I'm sure there's a basketball game show on Netflix. You'd watch it just as a fan, or even as a sports fan. Like, the cool thing about the show is like you don't have to watch basketball to like it. A lot of this stuff is like actually basketball's only in like 2 episodes really, but people don't know that. So you're making this universal thing. So people are like, okay, let's buy in for this long term of this and see if it'll pay off for us. That's the hardest part, bro. I don't really answer your question, but it's so hard.
No, it does, man. I like that because it reminds everyone else to recognize that when you believe in like a new project so badly, it is going to put things off to the side, but the reward is going to be so high after. And that's brilliant, man. That like it's I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that you're not just offering it to people that don't just like basketball. It's clever because you're like, you know what? I want to go beyond just the basketball audience.
Yeah, the biggest thing with like getting into producing and creating shows, like to get on a Netflix or Amazon, which we're learning now, is like you can't just have a basketball show because Steph and LeBron aren't involved, so no one's buying it. That's just the fact of reality. We've had the conversations. Oh, like who's involved? Oh shit, like well, it's just us. Oh, that's cool. It's great, but who's going on the thumbnail? Or who's giving the commentary behind, or who's posting it? Steph and LeBron aren't posting it, so we can't like do it. So it's like that's why we have to go more universal. So now you start playing. There's a teaser like we play a little soccer, play a little football. Like we sprinkle in like an amazing race concept in here. Like so we started to add all this other stuff to now it's a global sports game show. But basketball players still competing in it. So it's like you have to pivot also on the go.
So that's the thing, right? Like on the topic of saying yes or no to some things, you recently, there are 2 projects we're in a way we're working on together, which is really exciting. Is there's the Sick Games in London, right? And we're going to be going there this summer. Then there's the Universal Radio Network. These are 2 things you said yes to that perhaps you could have easily said no to, and that's time involvement, that's creativity, that's energy that you're putting out there in. Just out of curiosity, what made you say yes to both of these things based off of kind of like your end game?
I'm a psychopath.
I love that. Like Crom says that too.
Like for real, bro. Like
I think you said the same thing, bro.
Yeah. That's why you said
literally legit. What you just said, he said that too. I think we asked him the same question on a different episode.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
I don't even remember it.
Word for word.
Word for word.
Just pull the clip up side by side.
I'm a psychopath.
Oh, Sean Kanungo said it too, actually, too.
Yeah, because to be different in this space and to separate yourself. Here's the other thing: there's a lot of brown people in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, in a sense, like we're gonna support and do stuff, but like if I know my niche and I know there's no other brown guy in that niche, I have to destroy everyone else in that niche. Because otherwise I can't be where I want to be, and I want to be successful. I'm not doing all this shit to just be a
Do it
random.
for fun.
Yeah, like
That's
it's for
facts.
fun, but I want to be a killer, bro. Like I want to be known as like the person who puts Edmonton on, who's like a leader, who's doing content, who's building brands, who's like doing shit no one's ever done. Because I'm also going to inspire the next generation.
It's funny you say that, bro. And I feel like even us brown guys, we have that underdog. But like we're putting the under, like, these guys, whatever, right?
sure.
Like they're like whatever. So we have to work twice as hard, I feel like, to get this almost that same recognition in the space that we're in. Like I feel like even that as a rapper, bro. What other brown rapper other than Nav that you know has made it, right? And is like putting on for brown people in general.
Yeah.
So I have to work twice as hard. I have to make sure my lyrics, my delivery, my videos, everything has to be that much better.
Yep.
So that I can't just be fucking mumble rapping out here and trying to make it. I that's personally just how my mentality is. Like if I'm in this space, I gotta fucking destroy it.
Yep.
Lyrically, delivery, videos, etc., etc.
It sounds like cliche what I'm going to say, but like, I used to always say this when I was younger, like YOLO. So maybe I should like
Yeah.
digress it or break it down as you get older. Like, bro, like people are really stupid because like you only live once. So like for me, it's like I'm not competing with anyone. First of all, like no one's competing with me because like if you don't have that mentality, a lot that's gonna affect you. First of all, but secondly, it's like if I wake up every day and I'm just chilling, or like I know people watch Netflix like 10 hours a day.
Yeah,
Or a show
that's
comes
just
out and they
wild.
binge it. No disrespect to anyone who does
Hey
that.
man, watch the lab games. All 10 episodes.
It's like for me, and this is why I say like I'm psychopaths. Like I have a lot going on right now, but like I can manage it because I time box. I know how to organize myself. I know how to get shit done. I also like know how to like when something's in front of me to get it done. Like there's no procrastination involved. It's like here's my task. It's gonna get done. That takes reps. That takes years of discipline. That takes like an understanding of knowing who you are at the core, right? So that stuff like, man, that stuff all has and helps. But it's like I see people all the time like complaining or like going to do their 9 to 5 or like, yo, I just binged this whole show. It just came out yesterday. You watched 8 episodes? That's 8 hours. You didn't go to like that stuff confuses me. I'm not hating on anyone because I binge shows. I take my time off and relax too. But for me, why I call myself a psychopath is like every day I try to stack as many wins as I can. My first win is always like making my bed, right? Then it's like a shower. Then it's whatever. But it's like you have a win, and every email is a win. Every text is a win. Every video I make is a win. So throughout my day, I'm getting way more wins than all you guys, just because like I've wired myself to think that way. I think that's like a big battle. You guys are athletes, so you guys know, like rapper, like like you have to stack that shit because at 2 p.m. you might just be like defeated, bro. Like fuck, like did I like do anything today? No, I did because like throughout my whole day, I already stacked like 10 different things.
Man, you should start your own consulting firm, bro. Like, we gotta add that in, man, right? Like, Nav Consulting and Associates. I'll be your associate. No, legit, it's fire.
We don't
Like-
say nothing, bro. We just sit there, bro.
I just hope people at this point pause this shit and be like, I gotta go get my fucking W, buddy. Like, holy buckets, bro. Like, this is nice. But real talk, man, thank you. Thank you for, like, being honest and sharing the mindset and, like, the orchestration behind the madness, man. Because I think everyone's wired differently. Everyone, has a certain, like, reason behind why they tick that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, man. Like, if you don't mind, I'm not gonna say I'm calling you out on this, but I'm actually genuinely curious.
Yeah.
In our pre-call, we were talking about how putting Edmonton on the map, and you're like, you said something along the lines of, "Man, if I'm still in Edmonton, I haven't made it yet." Right? I used to think that way, but now I'm a little bit more like, hey, like I'll make it and I'll still be in my hometown. Did I read that wrong, or were you genuinely like, yo, man, I'm ready to get the hell out of
No,
here?
it's like half and half. So that was my original mentality.
Fair.
I moved to LA, lived there for 4 years. That changed my life. So if you guys have been to LA, you would just know if you live there, it's going to change your life and change your perspective. So first thing I'll say is like, if you have an opportunity to leave Edmonton to go for school or something, you should, because I think people who stay in Edmonton become too sheltered, too comfortable, and then you never grow. You're just stuck. And that's like the scariest. That was always the scariest thing for me, like living in Edmonton, is I got to see people within my circle or family. It's like I went to LA for 5 years And you know what happened when I came back 5 years later?
Same shit.
Nothing.
Nothing happened, bro.
The same. LRT coming soon.
Yeah, like nothing happened in the city, the people, and like it's no knock on anything. I love Edmonton. I'm gonna live here. Like, you know, I'm married now. Like I'm gonna open an office soon, like a content space. Like I'm really like putting like my roots down here to be like, hey, like I've set these brands up digitally. I have freedom to travel whenever I want, but it's like a hybrid for me, right? It's like even though I'm settling here, I can still go to LA or I can go to India or go to wherever because all these things, or go to London for the sick games because all this stuff's happening. But I'm gonna come back. But the most important thing is I left for a week or 2 weeks or a month to refresh my brain, to meet other people, to see what people who are millionaires or like killing it are doing, pick their brains, and I come back. And it's, even though it's the same shit over here, at least I've brought my knowledge back here and my mindset has evolved and grown. You know what I mean?
Man, I love that. That's so true. That's one of the biggest reasons why I love competing internationally. It's like not only am I going to see what competition is like outside my city, I'm going to be against the best against the world, but then whoop,
Yeah.
I'm in a different city.
Yeah.
Like I'm able to now talk to other people, see how they're wired, bring that shit back, right? So that's wicked, man. By the way, hold up. I know you guys, hold that thought, brother. You guys can keep talking, right? But I actually have to excuse myself. So you guys keep it rolling. I gotta go just around the corner. I gotta teach my kids class, so I gotta prep for that. But Nav, it's been real, brother.
Appreciate
We'll
it,
see you in London, man.
Yes, sir.
We'll also see you in the meeting on Monday with
Yeah.
Turn Radio. So we got
This guy's like,
No, it's
see you
sick,
on the
bro.
plane, bro.
I haven't seen Nav all my life, bro. I've been like a fan on media, and I've been seeing him 3 times this week. Like, what do I owe the pleasure, bro? But thank you for keeping it real, man. This was so good. Like, this is a dream come true having you on, man. Like, we waited 4 years. We said we'll get big enough where Nav will say yes to come on the podcast. So much gas, right? But thank you, brother, for keeping it real. I'll leave you guys to it. All right, and you guys have a great day. But we're gonna keep it rolling.
Hey, bro, thanks for talking content with us.
Bro, I know. You sucked me in, bro. I had so many other hot topics, bro. You know, I had like, you're talking about being brown, but don't worry, next time, right?
Part
Cheers,
two,
bro.
part two. We'll run it back.
Sounds good.
You have the honor, bro.
Thanks, bro.
There it is. Cheers, boys.
Yeah, I'm good to keep chopping it up if you guys want to. It's really up to you.
Yo,
Yeah.
Appreciate you, homie. That's love.
Yeah, just going back to that topic, I think even just travel obviously helps you outside of that bubble, but I think also there's like a sense of urgency that you need as a creative, I think, and I think that's not there for a lot of creatives. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of guys fantasize about being in the space. Because it's easy to look at the lights. It's easy to look at a guy like Devin or guys like on YouTube, Mr. Beast and all these things and look at that shiny gold nugget and be like, oh, I want that. That's dope. Millions of views, brand deals, Joe Rogan podcast, $150 million deal, $100 million deal. Yeah. It's easy to look at that and say, oh, fuck, I want that. And, but that level of urgency of actually putting out content, the strategy, the layers, the hashtags, the reels, the different formats. Like it's so much more than just that. And it doesn't start that way. And I feel like when I started, it was like, I need to get this shit out there. I need to figure out a way to make this music video or make this song and come up with systems that actually make sense that I can put out content consistently with the limited resources that I have.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of guys, and especially young guys that I work with too, like artists and photographers, videographers, that level of urgency isn't there. Like they don't have that like, oh, I got to make my website the best. I got to make my social media the best. I got to post consistently. I got to, I feel like that's just missing in that space.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, it's almost like a loss for them and a win for individuals like us because we are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy as it sounds like, it's just their loss.
Yeah.
But
I also see it kind of like we've been in positions where we've like stayed up all night, figure out different ways, even Ramadan. I don't know.
Yeah, man. We had some good times during that.
We had, we would like break bread together, train together, film. The whole day would just be kind of like spent doing shit. And then going to like, why did we go to that soccer game that one time? I just remember during Ramadan.
Random stuff, bro.
Yeah, but it was like we fit everything in. and it hurt us if shit didn't get done.
Yeah.
So it was like there's pain behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that always kind of moved it forward. Sometimes when I see like a lot of the people that want to do it, they're mad that they don't have a shortcut because they want the end goal, but they don't have like for me, I learned Lightroom, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, all those things because it hurt me not to have good stuff out there. And all those reps over time, like a lot of people, even when Micah flew me down, he's like, "Who's your team?" Right? I was like, me. Like, who films? Who does the editing? I was like, me. He was like, who does the After Effects graphics? But it was because it hurt so bad that I was like, I need to find a way. And my mom used to even say all the time, "What are you doing?" Because she'd come down to pray at like say 3-4 a.m. and I'd still be on the same computer table. Like my eyes feel like they're bloodshot red. And she's like, "There's no point editing a 1-minute video for 3 days." I remember her saying that. That was the same video that Micah ended up seeing and was like, "This is dope. Are you able to do this and this and this?" We'd fly you down. So I think it hurt bad enough where I was like, I want to be out of the position that I'm in. And I don't think a lot of people have enough of that hurt to be that psychopath.
That was a good story, bro. That's a fact, though.
Great stories are timeless. To be a great storyteller, one must bridge the gap between an alluring narrative and the audience, to pull at the heartstrings and to shape the imagination. At Q Films Media, we're more than just a media production agency. We are a powerhouse of creative individuals, content creators, who specialize in telling great stories. Stories that are intimate and kept closest to the heart. Stories that are powerful and inspiring, that spark boldness and action. We are Q Films Media. We're here to tell your story. We are always on scene.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Nav, what's for you, obviously with everything you're doing, what does the next few years look like for you? What's the next 5 years look like?
I don't know is the short answer.
Yeah.
Just to be like completely honest, because I just don't know. I don't know where In the Lab's going to be tomorrow. I don't know where Brown Ballers is tomorrow. I do consulting for like clients like the Harlem Globetrotters and stuff. Like I don't know where they're going to be tomorrow, what they're going to want to do, or they want to fly me to a shoot in like some random city. Trying to help my wife build her like physio clinics. Got the radio show. Then we got a podcast, and like I want to be on TV one day.
Absolutely.
So like I feel like I have like things that I want to hit. Like I love to have like my own like spot on a show, like an actual TV show or like a TV streaming spot of like sports or like shooting this shit with homies where I can bring people in and like just do this. But I don't know, man. Like I definitely think it's like a mixture of like my personal goals and then what I want for the brands. Like can In the Lab have a Netflix show? Can Brown Ballers collab with like fucking Diljit Dosanjh? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I have like these other brand goals too. It's like every day is an anomaly in the space that we're in, which makes it tough.
Even being like younger, I think that's like the beauty in it now, because I don't think I don't know if you've always had that mindset. I didn't. I'd wanted something concise before, where now it's almost like, shit changes day by day.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. And it's almost like you were talking about being a psychopath. I feel the same way, because like I'll do shit that I just know other people wouldn't. For example, I bought an assault bike. KB has an assault bike. And I was like, bro, this would be so convenient if I had one at the house. He said, convenient? Convenient? You think this shit is convenient? And he started hysterically laughing. I was like, no, bro, like it would be convenient, because I needed, like after competition ends, I needed something to push me mentally.
Yeah.
And when my feelings say don't do this shit, I find a way to still do it. So I bought an assault bike to feel like, how can I push that work ethic harder and harder? And like you were saying, competing with yourself and taking it one step further and being that psychopath. I think having even something like the assault bike for me, I wanted to have that. So I'm I'm focused on building more, winning every day, and not knowing what the future holds. Because if I focus too much on the future, then I'm not doing the present. Simple cliche thing, but as simple as it sounds, I start my day off with 45 minutes on the assault bike, because if I do that, I've already had the biggest challenge of my day that I could possibly have, and then the rest of the day continues. And over time, I think like the people that end up becoming psychopaths and doing a whole lot of things are the ones that are able to withstand more stress. And like you were saying, like you can put anything in front of you, you know that this is the task is going to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's facts, bro.
You are crazy for doing the assault bike. That's wild.
Nah, bro. You gotta hop on it.
I've tried it.
We've done. Me and Nav have done our fair share of crazy workouts too.
Oh, definitely, dude.
Yeah, no, that's dope. What else we got? Anything you want to ask Nav, or any topics you want to switch up before we maybe another 10 minutes and we wrap it up?
What's
on the dome?
what's your YouTube search looking like?
Oh, this is the Sean Canoodle question?
Oh, no, I had no idea.
Oh,
yes.
no. My YouTube search is like Mr. Beast, Colin and Samir, Arak. It's like big YouTubers and like seeing what's going on. Looking at thumbnails. Thumbnail theory has been like a big thing for me in the last little bit. Is like you're competing not only with the creators and the videos and what they're doing, but you're competing with thumbnails, because now on the page there's like 30.
Yeah.
Which one is catching your eye? There's like so much. There's color theory. There's like all this stuff that goes into it. So it's and MKBHD. It's just seeing what these creators are doing in the space.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we you know, Karam and I are the same way. We definitely get so deep into the algorithms, the hashtags, what thumbnail is gonna work, how the length, you know, and that's something that I've started to do, especially with these pods, is just chop them up into 20 minute segments, because I'm like, bro, like this shit's not getting enough love. Especially like we'll be warmed up in this conversation an hour in, and it's like all the gems are coming out in the last like 15-20 minutes of this episode, but it's not getting that recognition or love. So let's chop it up. Let's change the strategy. Let's see what other creators are doing.
It's important to be able to adapt, you know, and like pivot and change. Like that's part of being a creator, man. How fast can you do it?
And you're talking about even moving or like traveling and experiencing LA. I think that's like one of those things that, living in a place like Abu Dhabi growing up, I was able to see a lot more than what Edmonton had to offer. Right? So when I came to Edmonton, I was like, I loved Edmonton. In fact, I was waiting for a spot to call home, because when you're always moving, I'm like, people are like, where are you from? I'm like, I don't know. Right? So Edmonton was nice, but then having the perspectives from the outside always made me feel like, I remember even one of my bosses at Sport Check saying, you know, Karam, if you don't do this, you're not going to be a manager one day. I was like, no offense to if you're trying to be a manager, but I've lived in Abu Dhabi. I don't think I was going to move all this way to end up finishing my life as a manager. Right. Yeah. So like in my mind, I always wanted to build and create and do certain things. But having that outside perspective definitely made a huge impact. I got a different question that I hope doesn't open up a 50-minute can of worms. No. I remember you were into NFTs and crypto once upon a time. Are you still into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still there. I still fully believe in like what's gonna happen. I mean, look, it's just like anything else. Like the whole world has crashed, right? Yeah. You just have to like know what you're doing. You have to. The biggest thing about something like that, Web3 crypto, is like, sounds like a scam. 99% of the stuff is a scam. Like, but if you don't immerse yourself in it now or ahead of them, you're gonna miss the boat. So I immersed myself in it 2 years during COVID. Met everyone doing every single project. Lost money, made money in NBA Top Shot. I was there for everything. I was there. I was about to buy a Bored Ape. Like I'm on the website, just like, no, I'm not gonna buy it. And you saw what happened with Bored Apes. I could have been a millionaire just based off a picture of an image. Like I was there for all that stuff. So I'm happy to immerse myself. And like Web3 will be a part of everyone's life in the next 5 to 10 years. And NFTs will completely change how ticketing is worked around sports events.
And do you think that's because of utility? Because a lot of people don't
Yes.
really understand what crypto is.
Yes.
And I've tried explaining it to friends, family. But I agree with you on that same note, because I think there's a lot of utility and integration that people don't really understand. So to them, they see, oh, somebody made a coin and they're trying to make it currency.
Yeah.
Right. But really, it's solving real day-to-day problems that people aren't going to even, they're going to end up using it without even knowing that they're using it.
That's exactly how it's gonna happen. It's like I'll say this too. Is like, look, I know most of it's scams. So I'm not trying to like tell anyone to do anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, think about Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? It's like I could literally like send it to you right now. No middleman. It's a Sunday. All the banks are closed, by the way, right? I know there's e-transfer and stuff. That's fine, but like I can send it in like 2 seconds to you. No one has to like do anything or see anything. I'm basically gonna pay almost no fees on it. Like there's everything's just taken out. The middleman's taken out. And that's why like regulation will come to the banks because like they're not controlling it, so they have to have their hand in it. Otherwise, we're all gonna run wild and have fun. And then for NFTs, like utility is what it's all about. Imagine now I buy an NFT for this NBA game. Okay, that's my ticket access. Okay, now that I have this, I get access to the VIP thing. Okay, now I also get this special moment that happened in the game, this crazy dunk, all sent to me, by the way, while the phone's in my pocket. I'm not doing anything. And after, let's say a year later, because Kobe dropped 80 that day, whoever has this NFT gets to come back for a free ticket on this game. And like you didn't have to do anything because the utility was already all built in. You're just holding it. And if you want to sell it, you want to pay $1,000, I'll just sell it to you. Here, give me $1,000 and we'll sell it all on with no middleman, nothing else. That's just a small,
glimpse
of what it is. It's crazy,
wild.
bro. The technology that's coming, like it's gonna change so much. Even like with AI, we talked about that. Like, people don't understand ChatGPT yet.
Yeah.
It's doing some crazy stuff right now.
It's coding websites and doing all this, taking law exams and passing it.
It's nuts. It's like scary and it's nuts. But again, it's like now we have to go into a new stage of discovery as brands. It's like, okay, AI is coming out. There's these crazy AI model tools where I can upload a picture of my tea and then they'll put it on a model that looks literally like a real person. And it's all done by AI. Okay, so I just cut out my model cost. I just cut out my photography cost. I need to write store captions for my products. ChatGPT, please write these product descriptions for me. 2 seconds, done. You know what I mean? It's like
not good enough. Make it more descriptive.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Done.
It's like
Crazy.
all this stuff, and you have to be able to adapt because again, there's already 1 million people doing it, and the people are making businesses off it already and making money.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you be a brand that's if that's going to be a pivot for us? I gotta dive in now, and I always call me and Dev like mad scientists. Like something I've never been afraid to do is experiment and fail and take risks. We've failed a lot. I've done stuff where we've lost like 50, 60K. And like he doesn't blink an eye and I didn't blink an eye because I was like, damn, I thought that was going to work. It didn't. Let's rethink it, do it again. Let's make 10x or whatever the case is on it. But you just move on from the loss. You know what I mean? So like we're scientists in the lab experimenting with NFTs and crypto and like AI and what's coming next in our clothing and our shoes because like you just don't know. So if you're not experimenting and learning, like how can you get ahead,
No, I agree with that. I think there is definitely a level of experimentation, especially if you're the visionaries of your company or your brand. I think definitely there is definitely a need for experimentation, trying these different AIs, trying NFTs, trying whatever that is. I think there's also the flip side of that is there needs to be a level of focus in your brand and business in terms of where you want to go. Because, you can't do everything yourself. If you have a team in place, like there's an example, Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you know the YouTuber Alex Hormozy. He talked about how he tried to get his team to use AI or come up with a different way to replace themselves.
Right.
So he's got his accounting department, he's got his HR, he's got his editors, his photographers. He's like, all right, I want you guys to take, I don't know if it was a few weeks or a week or whatever, and just stop doing the same things that you're doing and try to find other ways of doing it automatically or finding AI to do it. And it was so interesting because he experimented. He used that model of like taking that time, spending that money for his team to come up with a different way. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm sure he spent a lot of money on getting these guys to do that. But I feel like at the same time, there is that level of like, all right, I have to, at a certain point in your business, you have to be narrow focused and trying to get to that next rung, because it's easy to fall off the course and try a million different things. But from a creative brand marketing experimentation standpoint, a guy like you should do that, right? Creatives like us should do that. But if we have some ducks in line already, so that we're still kind of functioning on a day-to-day, because I know guys who will try something for 2 years and then, oh no, this brand business didn't work. All right, let me try this. Now they're doing something else. And then 2 years, and you haven't really built anything over 4 or 5 years. You haven't given it time to see the fruits of your labor, because it's like, oh, I tried the podcast 2 years, it didn't work. All right, let me try something else. Let me try Reels now. Let me try TikToks, bro, to try to get attention. It's like, bro, you didn't give your podcast enough time. Right? You didn't let it run. So yeah, I feel like there definitely is that kind of balance.
Just adding to that, like guys like Joe Rogan, Mr. Beast, like they were creating content for like 12 to 15 years before Joe. I think Joe was doing like 10 plus years at least before he got the $100 million deal.
Exactly.
But people don't see that.
No.
Oh, Joe, because he really popped off. Was it COVID or after COVID?
I think it was during COVID.
He was going crazy. Like his shit was everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, he just started.
Yeah.
He just started a podcast. And in 2 years he got $100 million deal. Like but they're not seeing the grind of like, yo, some of these people have been.
If they saw his webcam that he first started out with, right?
Yeah. It's just crazy, because like obviously everyone has different perspectives, but like you're a lot of people only seeing what they see online. So what if I see something online, I'm taking that and I'm running with it, because most people aren't taking the time to go back further or go see his history or go see what they've done. They're just like, this is it, that's success. He did it in a year or whatever. Okay, I can do that in the same year, but that's not how it works.
It's funny, even like Gary Vee, I used to follow Gary Vee years ago when his stuff was popping off everywhere too.
He was crazy.
And there's this one video that I really love, and a shout out to his editor, because I don't know how he did it. But it's basically like a motivational video. It's like 5 or 6 minutes long. And he's talking about his journey of like, it's not overnight success, but while he's talking, and it's showing clips on the right-hand side of his wine show. So it shows when he first started, when it shows like, it just shows like 2 seconds. So it shows a little clip of his first, second, third. And as the video is going, the number of shows, it just keeps going up on the right-hand corner. It's fucking crazy, man, because by the end of this video, it's like past 1,000 episodes. And he's talking about, people only see the last 12 months of what I've done. But on the right-hand corner, it's showing
so much.
Every single video.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, shout out to his editor for having to go through 1,000 videos to clip that.
That's nuts.
Right? And he's like, bro, people think that I'm just making it out here. It's like, bro, they don't see. Go back to Wine Library TV #1.
Exactly.
Go to episode #1, bro. Because it's been a decade since I've been doing this shit, and nobody's seen that.
That's the other crazy part is like Robert Greene in the book Mastery talks about how long it takes to get to mastery, right? If you're 2 years in and you just quit, how are you even going to be innovative and think those crazy thoughts that are disruptive, game changing, without even actually staying in the game long enough? And I think that's like one of the biggest keys that most people, I feel like I've been trapped in my own head for long enough, right? But at the same time, like I've always loved what I've been doing, and I've always been growing internally what I've been doing, refining, adapting, pivoting, changing. And if I just chose to stop at a certain point, I wouldn't even be thinking the thoughts that I'm thinking right now. It gives me the freedom to be able to start thinking, okay, well, I know how to do things without having to think about them. And when you can get to that level, if you're still creating podcasts and doing all those things where you're thinking you have a timeline of 2 years, or like each video is going to go viral. This is going to be the viral one. This is going to be the viral one. Yep. Now I have like a reverse approach of creating my own contract for myself, having deliverables that I would write down. And if I was to execute this game plan, I would get paid by somebody $100,000, whatever it is, right? But if I'm getting paid this much value, what are my deliverables? And if I can execute those, have say 52 videos in the year, now I'm actually able to see some form of success or even consistency, right? I think the craziest part is the amount of shit talking that happens early on to a lot of people is It's like, why would you do that? I'm like, bro, you haven't even seen what the fuck they've done, right? They're just getting started. Like, and especially in a day and age of TikTok and virality, you expect somebody to be an overnight success, especially Desi culture. Oh, why hasn't it gone big yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's facts, bro. Even with like Brown Ballers, like, you know, like we're building something that I think like we all probably would have liked.
Yeah.
Growing up, like that would have been cool to be featured on there. And stuff.
Absolutely.
But on top of that, it's something that's never been done before. It's like I'm getting those comments already. Oh, only 10,000. You know, oh, like this and that. It's like, oh, this video only got 6,000 views. Oh, only 300 likes. In my head, I'm like, it's crazy because like I know the people that are saying that. Obviously, I don't know them personally, but I know that's like they don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
they don't get it. They're just like some of those, you know, those people that are just hating for no reason because they just feel like they need to or some point to make themselves feel better.
Yeah,
but it's like crazy. It's like I just go back to like the why. You know, it's like why is that happening when you're trying to do something that's like impactful,
positive, yeah,
and positive, but there's, I think someone else says there's always gonna be hate, bro. It's always gonna be hate.
Always.
I was a believer, and I was naive when I was younger. I was a believer that if you're just really good, like a good person, shit won't come around. Like you'll get treated how you treat others, because that's what I just always heard. But like you said, there's access to people, like bums have access to millionaire people's mindsets now, right? And having that access allows them to also hate on people that much easier. Whereas like in this room, we have like-minded people. Like outside of this room, the same haters just probably won't be in the same room with us. So like now how I see it online is when I'm getting hate, or if I'm getting hate, then would they even be sitting in the same room as me? Fuck no. So if they're not, fuck out of here with that dumbass shit, right?
Swears and finally.
Yeah. Fuck out of here with that dumbass shit.
Yeah. No, but I think you know that it comes from a standpoint of obviously insecurity, but at the same time, it's like they're not doing what we're doing, so it's easy to look from the outside and be like, what the fuck are these guys doing? You know what I mean? Especially in the public space, in the public realm of social media, right? Because now you take a look at someone can watch a 3-second video of you now and be like, man, you said maybe something that maybe not aligned with them, and then they hate you. They'd be like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
They don't even look at anything else, right? But on the flip side, so you could say something that someone really messes with, and then they go into the rabbit hole of like going into your YouTube channel, your Instagram. They start looking at your links, because I've done that.
Yeah,
I've done that with the creators and people that I love, and you're like, oh man, this is a dope video. Okay, now go back.
Yeah.
Now go back. And all of a sudden, it's like, holy shit. Perfect example is a guy like Russ, artist, rapper. I listened to one song. I was like, oh man, I like this. And then all of a sudden, you go back and you're like, holy shit, he has got 10 mixtapes, bro.
He's been doing that.
He's been in it, and now I love him even more.
He's still independent, right?
He's independent, yeah. That's the cool thing is like, think of us 5 years from now, 6 years from now, and all this content we're building. There's going to be 1 or 2, 3, 5, 10, 100,000 people that look back and be like, damn, remember when Nav was on the second floor, bro? Oh man, I love that conversation.
Exactly.
Right? And back then he was only here.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the cool thing that I think about is like, man, one day we're going to have an audience that's going to really mess with us. They're going to come back and be like, yo, I really love that song, Cassius, that you dropped in 2009, 2010. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? You're going back. You're going all the way back, which is kind of cool. So, I don't know.
I think there's no greater thing to see or witness than growth. Like even like our favorite basketball players, favorite brands, favorite anything. Like just seeing that growth. Even how you were talking about Russ, this guy tried putting me on Russ for a minute, right? And I love Nipsey Hussle, Lil Wayne, and like different. And he kept on playing. I was like, bro, fuck out of here, right? I didn't like his rapping nearly as much as other rappers. Then all of a sudden, I heard the song "Pull the Trigger" or "Psycho Part 2." I'm like, who's singing this hook, right? And he said, oh, that's him. So then I started appreciating the versatility. Yeah. And once I started appreciating the versatility, and I was like, I want to hear what he's saying in these bars now, right? And then I went back to his raps, and now I started loving his raps too. So it was like a crazy full circle moment where, like you were talking, or you guys are talking about, where you could have the same content that somebody hates or loves, but then all it takes is one to pull you in to dive deep into like the archive of your content. He also said that he, if he didn't have thousands or hundreds of songs, it makes it really hard for fans to become fans.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is like, how much do you have to put out in order to have people that really truly mess with your stuff?
Yeah.
Like, it takes so much, and that's a cool thing, because once you have that fan, they're by your side. So it doesn't matter if you drop merch, doesn't matter if you drop music, doesn't matter if you drop movies, doesn't matter if you drop podcasts. They're usually gonna fuck with everything. You know, Russ drops a book, you're gonna buy that book. You know what I'm saying? So that's the cool thing. It's like, if Mr. Beast creates a new business, you're gonna take a look and you're probably gonna purchase something from that business. 100%. Why? Because you've been watching him. You've shifted your mindset from, I don't really mess with this guy, to, man, I love this guy. Like, I love who he is and what he's about.
Even when we were walking in, me and Nav came in at the same time, and I was like, bro, I feel like I've seen you for time. Right. Mm-hmm. But when I thought about it, I was like, I don't really see him that much. I've seen him a lot in previous years, but in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I could count it a handful of times. Probably, yeah. But I was like, man, I feel like I see you all the time in person. And the fact that we've had a friendship prior to that, it allowed me to be like, I still feel like I'm seeing him. Yeah. So the same way as you're talking about content, it made me think about like, I think about this a lot, is how can you get it to that level where they feel like they know you. So then when they meet you, they're like, wait, haven't we met before?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that relatability, right? It's like building that audience. How do you make that connection with the fans, bro? That's why it's like BTS. It's like being personable, right? Like, how do you be someone they can relate to? And then when you meet them, you can shoot the shit, or you can grab a drink. Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
To create that connection. But if you do, like, you're set.
It's so funny, bro. I'll share a quick story. Me and Kenny were at back when he worked at Good Life. We were at the Good Life and we were lifting, some guy came up to us, and me and Kenny had no idea who this guy was. And he's like, yo, bro, Second Floor Podcast, Cassius, what's good, man? How you doing? He's like, oh, bro, how the rentals going? Like, he's talking about my home rentals, because I posted it on my story way back in the day. And he's talking to us like he knows us, bro. And I'm looking at Kenny like, who is, like, I'm like, yo, like, what's up? How you doing? Like, whatever. This guy's acting like we know him. And I had no clue who he was. And after we had like a 5-minute conversation, he left and he was doing his workout. And I looked at Kenny, I'm like, do you know him? He's like, no, bro. I don't know who that was. And we just burst out laughing, because I thought Kenny knew who he was. Yeah. And he probably thought I knew who he was. And it was like, bro, that's crazy to think that like all this content you're putting out there and people like know you like that is kind of cool.
And you never know who's watching, bro. So I always say, like, I just put stuff out.
So do you guys think, like, I feel like from what I've heard, and I feel like I'm this way too, I search a lot of content. I take in a lot of content, but a lot of content that I aspire to kind of be like, right? Do you feel like you guys need to be, or do you feel like people need to be content consumers in order to be content creators?
Yes. Because I mean, if you're not, it's just like anything. If you're not investing yourself in the brand you're building, or like say in basketball, okay, if I'm playing soccer or just doing something completely different, how can I build in the lab? Because I'm not invested in the space. So it's like, you want to be invested in content, you should consume in some capacity. You should watch TikToks to see the variation of 9x16 content. You should watch YouTube to see the variation of long form. And you should find who's similar to me, like you just said, to see, okay, how do I put my spin on this? Or do I copy and paste what they're doing, but my personality is a little different, so it's going to be better? If you're not, I would be confused like how you would do it, you know?
I think to a certain extent, absolutely, you got to be savvy. From a business standpoint, you should be savvy. But I feel like from an artist perspective, you shouldn't let it change or almost get influenced by that. You can take a look and appreciate other people and what they're doing. And because it's easy to be like, oh, this filmmaker, for me personally, I look at a filmmaker and look at their style and be like, oh man, that's dope. I should start doing that because it's working for them. Right? Or I could look at in the lab and see what they're doing and be like, oh man, that's dope from a basketball standpoint or from a filmmaking standpoint. I should do that and implement. But you can get so like...
There could be a lot.
It'd be a lot, and you'd be like, "Oh man, this works, and then you lose that authenticity, then you lose that creativity. It's like, man, appreciate those lanes and appreciate that content. I mean, oh, Mr. Beast is doing this. Oh, maybe, you don't have to take that. It's like, be true to yourself. Maybe take certain things, but at the same time, you should still be creative in the space.
I agree.
Yeah,
that's like one of those things that I used to think about when people are starting up new podcasts and stuff. I'm like, did you ever listen to any podcasts prior to this, or did you like all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of people creating this type of content, and now you're like, I want to create the same type of content.
Yeah.
So it was always I agree with both you guys, because I like taking things from other industries sometimes. Like I'll watch other sports, other TV shows, commercials, and I'll like, for example, the call out titles when DJ Sackman mass produced it. But when I went to Michigan, Micah was like, you're the guy that DJ first saw do this. And then he was able to mass produce it with his team, and then became his shit. But I got that from a furniture commercial. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting if that could like I was just visualizing it, seeing what it would be like if it was able to be tracked on like feet or whatever. But the creativity, like you're saying, like it's hard if you're looking directly at the lens of your specific industry, because then you're going to be a clone more than. But then I also agree that you need to be aware of.
I think I mean, even in the artist space, rappers sample all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You go back and they're sampling stuff from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. I love taking like, oh man, this is such a, you take that vocal from, a Lauryn Hill song and you remix it and you make it like modernize it or trappy or whatever. I think that's fine. I think getting inspiration from other creatives and whatnot, but I think there's a balance, definitely a balance. So. All right, boys, we're going to wrap up. One last question. I think now this is a fantastic conversation, bro. Thank you for coming on the second floor. This was fun. I want to leave it for you to, leave us, our audience who listens to us, maybe some advice. Maybe there's another brown kid or a young kid watching this or listening to this who wants to get into the space that you're in, a young baller who wants a young brown baller, man. Spit some game, let us know, give us some advice, give them advice.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing I'll say is like Kenny said something when he was here about stepping outside your comfort zone. So like in the lab, you used to make these, wearing a wristband. I was looking to see. In the lab, you used to make these wristbands. You probably remember
the Deuce ones.
The Deuce ones.
Yeah.
We used to have sayings on them, and our first ever saying was always greatness begins at the end of your comfort zone. And we ran with that for like years, and our brand became like synonymous with that and being in the lab and like just pushing yourself to step outside your comfort zone, right? So my first thing is just that, like, if you can find a way every single day to push yourself outside your comfort zone, that's how you're gonna get where you want in life. It's like filming a video, or it's like having a phone call that you don't. I'm sure you talk about sometimes you don't answer Kenny's calls. Like, that may not be the best example, but like. Take that, there's these phone calls like I'm regretting this phone call. Let's take it. Or I don't want to meet this person, but like I know I need to. Let's go do it. Like, how many times can you put yourself in uncomfortable situations every day to change who you are?
Get an assault bike.
You could be crazy like this guy and get an assault bike, man. Like, not like for real though. It's like, and then adding to that, like if you can start doing that, that'll help you. And then like for me personally, like part of creating Brown Ballers is to have that opportunity to not only create a platform to highlight brown ballers all over and like in different industries and spaces and athletics, but it's like to inspire the next generation, man. It's like, how much can we do to show that we're out there? Because so for me, I was tired of like being someone in the space that I feel like is doing like, I said this on a different show the other day. It's like me and Dev have done stuff that like people like would kill to do, or to say that they created that. And like the stuff we've done over the last 3 years, especially with like our events, I don't know if you've seen creator classes and stuff like that. Like we were the first people to do live stream events for creators, and then pay-per-view that, and then do 7 more events, and then bring ex-NBA players. And like we started creating this whole culture of like stuff that's different and fun and passionate, and we love doing it. And the reason I say that is because like for so many of us, like we're told to be like doctors, engineers, scientists, and whatever else is going to come up. It's like, you don't have to be that to be successful and to have a happy life where you make money. We all make money in our own ways. Like you guys have media companies, like I have brands, like there's ways to monetize and grow yourself that doesn't require you having to spend 17 years of your life studying. And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing wrong with people who like want to be scholars, but like I don't think that was for any of us. Right, unless you guys are scholars on.
No, I agree totally.
You know what I mean?
I never felt that. I could never picture it.
Yeah.
When my manager at Sport Check said, "You want to be a manager one day," I wasn't thinking, "No, I'm gonna be a doctor."
Yeah, like so for me, it's like again, like I worked a 9 to 5 once. It was like a summer job.
Which one?
At the WCB. 'Cause my mom used to work at the Workers' Compensation Board, so I basically would get the hookup for like a summer job. Oh, and not a real summer job, not a real 9 to 5.
I was gonna say
this was summer 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I did that shit, and I think I was like, I don't know, I was still young, probably like 18, 19, and I realized right then and there, like this is never gonna be for me because it's cubicles, it's like nonsense, it's like the same thing every single day. And I was like, that's why I appreciate our parents so much, right? It's like they grinded that shit, man. Like see my mom and dad like do that same job for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I can't even like sit in a room for like 2 hours. It's like, how did you do that? Yeah. But they just grinded it. Like their mentality was so different than ours. So for us, like what I'm saying is like we're taking what they're doing, putting our flavors, our spin, our spices on it, and doing it our way. And hopefully, like the next generation, our kids will take that and keep building it. But I feel like it's important for all of us to like own that we're creatives.
Yeah.
We have to own it because like a lot of us don't own it, and a lot of us are afraid or hide it because like maybe we're not that successful yet. I'm not that successful like at all. Like there's so many things we want to do, but it's like you still gotta own it because we're doing things that no one else is doing. You know?
I mean, I've been in that scenario where I didn't own it for many years, and I feel like even the pandemic and just being around like-minded guys, I've been able to come into my own of understanding how to own it because it also got to a point where I'm not trying to just survive. I'm living off of it now. Now I have the freedom to actually be able to own it.
It's important, bro.
So it's and that big change is actually the biggest factor now that I would say, because you talked about how many different businesses you've had or ideas that have failed. There's so many, especially in our culture when we're, and I'm sure in many cultures, but I think ours get attacked a little bit more. If you're not good at this, why are you doing it? There's a straight path to be a doctor or engineer. So there's right. So it's like, oh, that didn't work. We told you, right? Come back to this side. Yeah. So I think that fear always kind of lingered in me where I was like, man, maybe this video isn't as good. Maybe my shit isn't as good as I think as it is.
Yeah.
And the mentality switch of switching into that just makes it a whole lot easier to be able to do things in a way where you're saying you can't show your personality unless you're being your authentic self. And that's why I actually respect what you've done over the years quite a bit. Because since I've known you, content. It was less about how it's doing, what it's doing. It was more about putting it out. Yeah. And I think as content creators, we all understand how hard it is to consistently put out shit, right? Like that it's itself
hard,
is.
Man. It's a grind.
It's a grind, man. And I think the thing is that we all have that kind of chip on our shoulder where we need to, as creatives, we need to continuously push the content, continuously be and accept who we are and be that creative. When I was I always talk about this early on where I was doing, like when YouTube was the main platform, I was doing pranks. I was trying to be like FouseyTube, Superwoman.
Oh, that's crazy.
I was doing that. I actually have all my old videos where I was doing skits and stuff.
Wow.
With I was doing vlogs when Casey Neistat started to pop up.
What year was this again? This was like 20. This showed me 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Like that around that 2010 time, I was doing that shit. But why was I doing it? It was like, I want to be in this space. I want to be able to try to make a name for myself or be and try to push that. And I remember my parents being like, what the fuck are you doing coming home after high school or university? Right. And why are you sitting there and making videos or bringing people over to do skits and doing like these pranks and stuff? And it was one of those things of like, I need to continuously learn and get better because I don't know. I'm not in this. How are these guys doing it and making a name for themselves or doing it? I want to do that. And it took years before I figured out I don't want to, like, that ain't the pranks, the skits, the comedic stuff. That isn't me. I found that the music was really what stuck for me, and I wanted to be known to be that artist. Or in the media space, I fell in love with doing videos, and all of a sudden people started hiring me to do videos. And I was like, oh shit, I started with the love of trying to figure out how to make a music video. Yeah. And when I made the first music video, I was like, oh, I fucking love the creative aspect of making it. And so I think you need to be in the space long enough to start seeing those lanes. Because if you aren't, you're just sitting from the outside and be like, oh, exactly. I wonder what a podcast would feel like doing. I wonder what making merch would feel like. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like us in this room, we've been in this shit. We've experimented enough. We're not, I wouldn't say we're vets, but I would say we've been in the space long enough to know what we want. And to be like, all right, these are the few lanes that I really, really love, and I want to continue building from that. Yeah,
you got to experiment. I have a hot take. Maybe it's not a hot take. Maybe the aunties will.
Hot takes,
bro.
Hot take.
Kenny's gonna be so sad. He's like, bro, I missed the hot take.
Connie, this one's Kenny, this one's for you, bro. So it's like, I fully agree that being an entrepreneur is harder than being a doctor, whatever the other flip side is. I'm basically saying there's two worlds, right? There's the auntie or the mom's world, and then dad's world, and then there's our world. Mm-hmm. I know this side is way harder, entrepreneur, because like every day we don't know what's happening. A lot of times it's paycheck to paycheck or like 0 to 0 because you're not making any money, and it's just like a constant grind of like not having a blueprint. Whereas like you just said it, you know, the other side has a blueprint.
Yeah. Because
it's go to school and do XYZ and just study for 12 hours a day and do it. So again, I don't know if that's a hot take if you guys agree.
No,
but that's
bro.
how I feel.
There's like, if you're a doctor, there's systems around you being a doctor. Yeah. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to create those systems and also fill the roles.
Yeah. It's no disrespect to anyone doing that stuff. I always want to say that. You guys are killing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bro, keep on saving my life, please. If I show up with some shit wrong, you better not be like content creator or doctor. What makes
the world unique. If you like have a deeper conversation about it later, it's like you think about people who are doing all these jobs, right? There's like janitors, and there's cleaners, and then there's doctors, and there's people who work 9 to 5s that save on foods, running the tills, and it's like stalkers in the back, and it's like it's crazy to think about all the roles that people are filling in life. Mm-hmm. And then as you go up and you think about like what we're doing, it's like there's no stability, there's no nothing behind it, so you could always fall back to do that. But it's like, do you want to like live that life and do that? And the deeper part for me, it's like it's crazy to think about there's how many billion people in the world. Think about all the roles that are filled that you don't want to do, but they're being filled by someone who either has to do it or actually genuinely does. Because some people do like doing those types of things. Yeah, because they're simple and they're chill.
I think that comes from just like how there's going to be certain years of getting to a point where you just get wired a certain way. Right? Like, I was watching a show, I forget what the show was, but a mother, this was just blank TV and a long time ago, but the mother was like, I'm just not wired to be a mother like you are, right? The way that your kid looks at you, or even the way my kid looks at you. So I was just thinking, I was like, man, I agree with that statement, because after a certain point, your subconscious mind, all these things. I was telling Omid this previously on a podcast where I wonder sometimes when I read The Power of Habit or Atomic Habits, like if we have habits that form over 15 years, for example, how long does it take to get rid of those habits, and how long do those temptations come back? So I feel like once you get wired to a certain point, say 30 years in, now you don't have that desire to be an entrepreneur. Right? You're more okay with filling those roles. That's why I think certain people love doing what they're doing, because they grew up a certain way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that.
It's funny because there was an article that was talking about, and I don't quote me on this, but I saw it. I saw it on IG, so I don't know how I don't know if this source is, but basically it was saying how like C+ students are the ones, like the C+ students are the ones who usually tend to build brands, businesses.
C's get degrees, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the A, B students are usually the ones that actually fill those roles, or are one of the ones that work, are the workers, or the people that are actually doing the gigs, which is interesting because A and B students are really good at taking direction, and they're really good at executing on the blueprint that we talk about. right? Whereas the C plus students, they want to do shit different. They want to experiment. They want to try something different. They want to get out of that system or be creative or have different ideas to implement certain things. So they're the ones that usually become the visionaries or the entrepreneurs or the people that live that kind of unstable life, but they're the ones that are the visionaries or they create the businesses. But the ones that actually do the work are actually the guys that are in tech or filling those roles and really executing to the finish line are the ones that are A and B students.
I agree with that.
I do too. I've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Which is crazy.
That's a cool.
And like for example, my mom, A plus student. She has a medal from being an engineer and electrical engineering. My dad, I don't think had the same medal, right? My dad runs a company, his own business. And the way his mind works is very similar to how we're talking about. I bet you had some C's. But
he ain't gonna admit that to you though.
But the way that, like, I think even when I was in college, I'm taking classes that I'm not giving full attention to because I'm trying to learn Lightroom. I'm trying to learn Photoshop. I'm trying to learn all those things in class and then still pass the class, right? So it's just it makes sense where when your mentality is just kind of shifted. Or why do you guys think that? Because did you guys feel like that pressure inside you, like I just don't want to be doing this simple shit?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's pressure is the right term, but like I just never wanted that.
Yeah,
I never wanted to be like a simpleton or whatever the term is, you know.
I worked way too many jobs to realize with the shit that I don't want to do. Like I've literally, bro, I've worked every single job. My first job was KFC Taco Bell at 13 years old.
Beautiful.
Right? And my first, like my manager, she wasn't racist, but I don't know why she hated me because my cousins worked there, but she bullied me, bro. She made me do the dishes, scrub the floors, man. And like from that moment, as I started to work, I worked at Walmart, Superstore. I worked as a dishwasher, bro. I worked in a donair shop, bro. I've worked every job, bro. I've mowed lawns. The city of St. Albert, I mowed lawns, bro. And every time I had these jobs because I had to work, I was like, this is the shit I don't want to do. Why can't I create videos? Why, man? I remember mowing the lawns of St. Albert, the public properties, and be like, man, it'd be dope to be able to make videos for a living. Like, how sick would that be? In my head, I remember, and I had a degree. I finished my degree. I had a biology degree from the U of A, and I'm sitting there, man, like trying to pay off my loans and stuff. And I'm like, man, how sick would it be to have a media company? How sick would it be to be on YouTube or make a podcast and stuff like that? But that itch was in me, bro, because I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be this. I don't want to do this, man. So I feel like, I mean, that for me, that was the trigger for me. It wasn't really about the like, oh, like, you know, not doing the simple things. It was like, I did the simple things and I fucking hated it.
You just went through trial and error, basically, of understanding what you do and don't.
Exactly.
And I say this, like, people who get C's, whatever. I always tell people C's get degrees. I love everyone. If you have a C, I want to be your friend, bro. That's how you finish school. Because like we're dreamers.
Yeah.
Like I remember you just said that story about doing stuff in class, Photoshop, Lightroom. Like I used to be in class just dreaming, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know what at the end of that 50-minute class. I didn't know what the hell was talked about because I would be on YouTube. I would just be like in my own world. Like how do I get out of this situation? And like I have another hot take. Sorry that I keep talking. We can stop at any point.
No, keep going. No, keep going.
I have a hot take.
This is so brown. We say bye and then don't end up bye.
It's like the after the end season. It's just like an hour of content. The hot take is this: I don't think. All right, I don't want people to think it's like a bad thing, but it's like maybe it's not. I don't believe in school.
I don't believe in. Bro, this is why we started
part 3 of that.
Yeah.
No.
To a certain point, I'm not saying everything in every subject is wrong and bad. I'm just saying like, if you really think about like the stuff that you learn in school and what you're taught, like I'm telling you, like none of it really matters. And then especially when I got to university, I did like my management degree and like marketing and commerce and stuff. It's like nothing that I ever learned in 4 years of Grant McEwen, not one thing can I wholeheartedly say I put into any of the brands I built. Yeah. Other than like, you learn how to work in a team a little better. But I played basketball, so I already knew that. Mm-hmm. I've genuinely never like saw anything. I learned international business, supply chain, like all this shit, marketing. And it's like all the shit I learned, none of that fucking matters right now because they didn't have TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and all that stuff when I was in school. Not
Yeah.
that I'm hella old, but it's like they didn't teach you, right? There wasn't a book on TikTok, so it's like nothing was taught to us that we're applying.
I always say there's being academically smart and then being street smart.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the street smart is what that you don't learn. You gotta be out on the streets. You gotta learn. You gotta be aware. And I tell my sisters this because my sisters are great academically, but they don't know nothing about finance. They don't have a clue of taxes.
That's like my wife. That's like Ambika, yeah.
They have no clue about. They don't know.
It's like a real thing.
Yeah.
It is, bro. And I'm like, you're so good. You get 90s, 80,
Yeah.
A plus, but you don't know a thing about your taxes. You don't know a thing about how to save money. You don't know a thing about investments, bro. And that's real life, bro.
Yeah.
That's real, man. And they have no interest in learning. And I push it, I pump it all the time. Like, yo, like start an investment account. Do this. It's like it goes over their head, bro.
Awkward.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say another hot take.
Hold on. Before we switch to hot take, I completely agree that, like for example, universities, schooling itself isn't really a thing unless you're trying to be something specialized where it's life or death, where like being a doctor.
Exactly.
So there's certain things that I just wouldn't want you to practice off of YouTube and just fucking do a surgery on me, right?
You have to get that real experience.
But like there's a lot of things that I've learned in that people have gone to school for. And it would always used to piss me off. I'm like, man, this motherfucker has a degree for this. Why do I understand how to do it better than he does? Because there's a lot of information out there where you can literally learn everything. And I think that's why creator economies are becoming so much bigger, is information is out there that if you really wanted to learn, it's out there for you to learn in a concise manner where you don't need to go to school. And on top of that, if... Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I heard the kids. But no, let's switch next hot take.
All right, so yeah, my next hot take is the fact that, and I've seen videos on this, read articles about it, is the fact that like the reason school is structured the way it's structured is so that basically more workers can be made.
Yeah.
Right. It's like more people that can do this stuff.
Matrix.
It's like Matrix, like more. And if you actually think about it, like, look, I'm not trying to get into any theories and conspiracy stuff. It's just like,
nah, bro, get into it. I'm into that shit.
I am too, but it's like that shit makes sense, bro. Because if you really think about what you're learning and like how you go to school, what you do in school, like the whole process of it, like nothing about it is like actually like creative or thought provoking or making you like step outside of your comfort zone. It's all just like 2 + 2 and here's this periodic table, and like I know that there's certain ways where they're trying to help you find out what you're gonna become or what you like as a kid, which is all fine. I'm not knocking anything. But I do think a hot take is like that it's bigger than that. It's like you're going to school so that you can just become another worker in the matrix of the world. And that's why a lot of people are homeschooling now, because they want to control what their kids learn. Or like I'm seeing stuff in the States now where like kids are having mandatory, like, or parents are giving them mandatory like 2 to 3 times a week. It's like an art class. It's like this building class, and it's a coding class, and it's all this stuff. It's like you're never learning that stuff in school.
Yeah.
You have to step outside to be able to create that, especially as a parent in this day and age.
Yeah, and it's scary because like you leave your kids. This is what I had. This conversation I had with my mom was like, Mom, you guys moved to Canada. Grandpa, like all our families, the elders, they believe in the governments because maybe it was less corrupt. Maybe they left the countries that they were in to come to a country where it's less corrupt. But at the same time, there's corruption everywhere. And I think that even in schooling systems, it starts trickling down. And if you're sending your kids to school, you don't even know, like you're not even controlling your kids anymore. Because I remember having conflicting arguments with my own parents. Whereas now I look back, I'm like, why did I think those things the same way that I used to? Because my parents put me in a city that was completely foreign to me, a different part of the world. And that control is like very scary because like you said, everybody ends up fitting into a role and they end up doing that their whole life, right? And if there's so many different ways to teach kids. With Zane, what I used to do with him, because I enjoyed creativity later, I would give him a headphone. He would get a headphone. We'd listen to lo-fi music, eyes closed, 10 minutes. Write down a story, what you just thought of. Create a story in your mind, visualize it, write it down, and then we're going to say it out to each other. So like little things like that made him like very creative. right? And I think stuff like that just never is taught in school. This kid drew a dragon that kids are driving. Kids are saying, I drive to school, drawing cars and shit. He's on a dragon to go to school. My mom's like, draw a car. Why are you saying you take a dragon to get to school? I was like, no, dog. What kind of dragon was that?
Yeah, that's creative, man.
Right? So I think kids get put out of that box because they don't see the value behind it. And now as we move further and further into this day and age, creativity is the shit.
100%.
I love creativity.
Yeah.
And it feels freeing because it feels like a part of you is trapped otherwise.
Yeah. I always say that childlike mentality, you know, because children have that. They don't know right from wrong. They don't know. They're not quote unquote civilized in a sense. They just try and they fall down. They scrape their knee. They get back up and they do something different. You know, and I think about that, and it's like, how do you implement that in your business, in the music you create? Is just being free from the restraints and being able to express yourself, or you know, have that mentality of learning from others and opening up YouTube and kind of going through different rabbit holes and being, oh, NFTs, oh, crypto, oh, carnivore diet, right? Like just like being open to that. And allowing you to get different perspective and just being childlike and being like, all right, let me be able to try this. You know, this guy's using this financial thing about investing. Oh, maybe it might work, or no, that makes sense, or maybe it doesn't make sense, right? So I feel like if you're restrained in the role of being in school and all these different things of just working those jobs, you start to have these invisible chains and you don't even know it. You have these invisible chains, you just work and you can't, and at a certain point you get kids, you get wife, kids, house. How the fuck do you get out of that? Then you have this midlife crisis at 35, 40. And you're like, man, I wish I would have started that business. I wish I would have started that podcast when I was 25 or 20 or whatever. And you don't even realize it. That's the scary thing.
It's scary because I think so many people have that thought and that regret, bro. That's actually scary to think about.
Very scary.
How many people you know that are having that right now? You're never gonna know that they're thinking that or experiencing that too, you know?
Yeah.
I had a conversation with myself earlier during the pandemic where I had the same thought, and I was like, you know, if everything fucking fails, at least I loved what I did, and at least I enjoyed trying doing what I wanted to do, and I found a way to survive. Because isn't that what a 9-to-5 does for you anyway? You're trying to survive in this world. Put food on the table.
That's a deeper way to look at a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to survive.
You are.
Yeah.
Like, how many people do you really know enjoy their 9-to-5? I would say that I know more people that hate it than they love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you know, one thing, you know, shout out to my boy Encore. He was the one that got me out of this space of he opened my mind. Last year I went to Dubai, first time, and you know, I asked my buddy like, yo, what do you do? And he's like, oh, like you know, I consult for the banks out here, blah 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 blah. I don't really know what that means, right? Like, what does that even mean, right? So anyway, long story short, I go visit him in Dubai. Wanted to take 2 weeks off and just get out of the Edmonton grind, right? And bro, like, you go there and like, I'm out of my element of like grinding constantly, and that allowed me to have this like bird's eye view of like, what the fuck is my life? What am I doing, right? And then I look at this guy and he's consulting for banks out here. I'm like, bro, what? Like, how did you even get this? And again, like, making a great living, doing what he's doing, and it's just almost like a digital nomad. It's crazy. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be here for a year or two. Maybe I'm, you know, go to Saudi. Like, I worked in Saudi for a year. I'm working in Dubai for a year. I'm gonna go back to my hometown of San Diego. And it's like, how are you doing? He's like, bro, you guys in Edmonton, bro, are just like in this bubble.
You, bro, it's a bubble. Yeah,
It is.
And he's like, you don't even know. And I was like, how'd you even get this opportunity to be out here? He's like, bro, LinkedIn, bro. I was like, I just wanted to look at some Saudi Arabian companies that I felt I just want to be out here, just try something different. Messaged the company, sent my resume, XYZ, got an interview, boom, I'm out of here. And it's like, you don't even think how simple it is to get out of the bubble. And even my dad said, this is so funny, man. He's like, man, he's like, if I was you, why? Like, my own dad said, he's like, if I was you, why are you doing this video stuff here? Why aren't you going to California or going somewhere else to do it? He's like, I'm like, and then I just started making excuses for myself. I'm like, oh, you know, like work, clients. He's like, bro, he's like, it's a plane ticket away. Just get out
Yeah.
And my own dad said
That's
this.
respect to your dad for saying that.
Right? Because he eventually accepted that I'm in this space before he didn't accept it. Before he was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Got to make money, XYZ. But he realized that I'm just in it, and he knows that I'm in it. Like, I'm not getting out of the space. And he's like, why are you staying around Edmonton, bro? Just go out and experience other places. And he's like, it was harder for me. I came with a shirt and a pair of pants. And I had no fucking clue what I was doing. Coming to Canada, don't know the language, trying to survive. He's like, you don't have that. You're surviving already, bro. You're good. Yeah. Get out of your fucking zone. And him and my buddy on crew, I was like, man, this is the amount of opportunities that are out there that we don't even know, that we don't even experience and push ourselves out. Just like you being in LA for a few years, bro. That changed your mindset.
That's completely. Why I tell people, like you just said, if you have an opportunity to leave, man, like go. Not saying never come back, just try it, or just take that risk and see like where it lands you, because it'll probably change your life for the better too.
Yeah, that's facts.
Boys, I gotta say this has been a pleasure.
Yeah, that's good.
It's been a pleasure. I gotta head out. You guys are more than welcome to continue.
No, bro, this is good, man. Nav, plug in. Let us know where people can find you if they wanna check out your work. And
hopefully the Instagram handle comes somewhere here. Please follow me at Navin Ramharak here. If you want to tap in on In the Lab at Brown Ballers, check it out. If you're ever in the city, hit me up. Hopefully I'll be around you guys more, making some other content. But I'm here now, man. So tap in. I'd love to see who else is out here. And if I inspired you or we talked about something cool, reach out to these guys. And if you don't follow them, obviously make sure you follow them. But trying to do something different for the city, right? So we need everyone to rally together.
Appreciate you guys. Link to Navin's stuff is going to be in the bio in all of our platforms, man. Check us out, subscribe, review, and that's a wrap. Second Floor. We'll see you next week.
We out, bitches.